welcome to episode 9 of Beat the First Man podcast. Once again, thank you for all those who watched last week, who have liked, commented, subscribed on the channel. Channel's up to 77 subscribers now, so we keep on nudging it up every week. Can we get over the 80 mark this week and head towards the elusive 3 figures by Christmas maybe, who knows. Those of you who keep up to date on the social media platforms will now know that it's RIP, the extra time episode. So I decided to knock that on the head. In reality, I wanted to make your main episode a bit longer and put a bit more into it. So you're going to get a longer main episode, but no extra time episode on the weekend. If you're on Instagram, get following over on Instagram, because that is the one place where we maybe put a little bit of extra on, but it really will be very, very little. Everything will be packed into this main episode going forward. So that's the plan. We'll see how it pans out. Hope that doesn't upset too many. The viewing figures are far less on extra time as well, so I don't think it's going to upset too many, to be truthful. So what have we got for you this week? Well, we've got another brand new feature. We've got some of your old favourites, Tales of the Unexpected, 4D, Guess V Knowledge, and loads more, absolutely loads more. But we'll start as always with our friends at Stoke Gabriel FC. 2 weeks, 0 defeats, 0 goals conceded. Things are on the up, definitely on a run now, boys. So the shirt stays on though until we get that elusive first win. I know they're on lockdown and they're not playing, but trust me, the season those boys are having, they need to grasp every positive they can get. And I'll have a little bit more exciting Stoke Gabriel news for you a bit later on today in this episode. But yeah, so they haven't lost for 2 weeks, they haven't won for 2 weeks, they haven't drawn for 2 weeks, but they've let no goals in. Mark Richardson is now classing himself as a tactical genius for pulling off these 2 weeks of results. But on we go, and the mid-table dream stays alive. So anyway, we didn't do one last week, but it's time for this. Enough. So, Tales of the Unexpected. As you know, we like to go around the globe for these. This is where Stoke Gabriel started life out on this podcast. We've been to Thailand, we've been to the Netherlands. Today, I'm going to take you to Ghana. I'm not going to say anything else. Sit back and enjoy the next 60 seconds.
Crystal Palace 4, Leeds United 1. Chelsea 4, Sheffield United 1. West Ham 1, Fulham 0. Sunday, West Bromwich 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1. Leicester City 1. Wolverhampton 0. Manchester City 1, Liverpool 1. Arsenal 0, Aston Village 3.
What can I say? He's no James Alexander-Gordon, is he? Again, youngsters, you may have to ask your parents who James Alexander-Gordon is. But those of us a certain ilk and age will all know James Alexander-Gordon. And the Ghanaian fella, he's no James Alexander-Gordon. So, as you know, 4D made its debut last week. For those who are new to this, who don't know what 4D is, let's make it nice and straightforward for you. You need one of these, and you need one of these. So the first 3 Ds, 3, cap, doff, 4D. So this week's 4D. So who's this week's winner? Well, this week we'll go for an Italian manager by the name of Roberto Mancini. You may have heard of him. I think he's managed a few clubs in the past, possibly a couple over here. But he took over the struggling Italian national side back in 2018, and he decided they'd had a pretty rough ride, the Italians, to be fair, on the national stage. He decided to put his faith in the youngsters and just have a bit of an overhaul of the squad and really start press the reset button. Well, He's now presided over 27 games in total for the Azzurri, and incredibly, they've lost just 2 matches in that time. Now, I accept that in international football, you get some bum matches where you're just going to get wins for nothing. But 27 matches, 2 defeats, that's pretty impressive. It gets even more impressive. So on Wednesday, they travelled to Bosnia and won 2-0, which clinched their place in the Nations League final section. They were a few players out with COVID. Mancini himself wasn't there with COVID. But that was their 22nd match unbeaten on the international stage. Now that is pretty good going, because all you hear from international managers is they don't get long enough for the players, then you get a few games. The sides are never the same. They're always picking random squads. They have to throw it together and make it work. So for Mancini to go 22 games unbeaten, I think that's a pretty impressive performance, and I think it is definitely worthy of Roberto. I doff my cap, sir. Forza the Azzurri. So now, as promised, and we have talked about it for quite a while, we have another new feature for you. Honestly, I spoil you. Like, I don't know. What do you do for the rest of the week? You must just sit there thinking, what is he going to come up with next for me? But this new feature is called Zooming In, and it's where we're going to have guests on the show. We're starting this week with my son, Kian. He's been mentioned through the show on bits and pieces. But this is his chance to shine. I promised he could be the first one. So again, kick back, sit back, cup of coffee. I can have a few slurps of my coffee while you watch it. But here's Zooming In with Kian. So welcome to the new feature called Zooming In here on Beat the First Man. As you'll see on the screen, we have Kian, also known as my son. Say hello, Kian.
Hello.
He had first dibs on coming on as the first guest on the show, so here he is. So one thing that we are doing on this is a game called What's the Word, where I will have a football-related word that will drop in at some stage during the interview. Kian has to guess the word. He has to shout out his buzzer. He's already got his buzzer. So do you want to try your buzzer, Kian?
I will try my buzzer. Suleiman Dakara.
Yeah, so Kian's buzzer is Suleiman Dakara, the ex-Leeds United striker. So he has to shout that out when he thinks it's the word, and then he has one guess at the word. Sorry, he has 2 guesses at the word. And it's written on the back of here, so there'll be no cheating. I wouldn't cheat anyway, Kian. Why aren't you doing your own work anyway?
Oh, I've done it already.
Oh, okay. Just making sure you're not messing about on
You think I
podcasts
lied?
and doing your own work. So we'll start with something called 7 Up. So it's 7 pretty basic questions, Key, but it's just for the watching public to get to know you. So First off, I think we know the answer because you can see you wearing it. So who's your team?
It's Leeds, obviously, as you can see it, and on that wall.
Yeah. So who is so what's your biggest high as a Leeds fan?
This year, when we got promoted, definitely.
Yeah, how frustrating was it that you couldn't be there to celebrate it in person and it was all done on the telly in front of nobody?
It was very frustrating because we've been to all the awful grounds, Rochdale and everything, but it was still worth it. It was still great when it happened. So.
Yeah, and now you've all upset all of the Rochdale fan base that come on the podcast. So what was your lowest low as a Leeds fan?
Every other year.
No one game in specific?
Derby in the playoffs.
Yeah, thought it might be somehow. So best player for Leeds since you've started supporting them?
There's a few.
Yeah.
Can I give you 2?
Yeah, go on then.
Right, so from early on would be Becchio.
Yeah.
Because he was just great. And then obviously Pablo.
Okay, yeah, good to give you those. And a little bit on the other side. So what would be your worst player for Leeds since you started supporting? And you have got a lot to choose from.
There's loads that I could think of here. Probably Edgar Carney is up there.
Oh, good choice. The Albanian.
And Scott Wootton.
I like both of those choices. I can't disagree with either of those. Okay, so Leeds aside then, favourite player from any other team?
I would say Messi, but it's a bit basic. So I'm going to go for Haaland.
Yeah, yeah, Leeds connections again.
Yeah.
So, question 7: a guilty pleasure of another team that you actually quite like, even though you support Leeds.
Man City.
Oh, well, that's going to surprise people, the Manchester Leeds thing, and you've gone Man City. Is it anything to do with all the pictures on the wall behind you?
Yes, it is.
Thought it might be. I think people can't quite see the one right behind your head because you're covering it. Yeah, there we go. Right, so now we're going to play a bit of either or. So I'm going to ask you 7 things, and you just have to decide: is it either or is it or? So Leeds to win the Premier League, or England to win the World Cup.
Leeds to win the Premier League.
Oh, good. As a Scotsman, fantastic choice. And you called me a bit basic earlier by saying this, but Ronaldo or Messi?
Messi, definitely.
Yeah. Number 3, VAR or no VAR?
No VAR at all.
Okay, interesting. What about goal line technology? It's not part of it.
I'd keep that, yeah, because that stops any controversy.
Okay. Number 4, a thunder bastard of a volley or a diving header?
A thunder bastard of a volley, definitely.
Okay.
Bukhara.
Oh, which word?
The thunder bastard of a volley.
It's one word only.
Volley.
Let's see if you're right.
He is right.
Hey!
I'll actually tell you something. I wasn't meant to buzz there, but then I realised it probably is volley.
Well
what I meant is
first guess.
he scored that volley.
You've set the bar high for all our other guests.
I have.
So, Barcelona or Real Madrid?
Barcelona, but I also love Real Madrid.
Okay, fair enough. Right, now, there's the really important questions. So, Champions League and Europa League, or Lineal European Cup and Lineal UEFA Cup?
Lineal European Cup and Lineal UEFA Cup. There you go.
The right answer. Even more important, Ted or Pudsey?
Ted. It's funnier.
Yeah, he's funnier. Right, so the only other one thing we are doing, we're going to do with every guest that comes on here, no matter who they may be, and I am looking for people who want to come on here. Hopefully next week, fingers crossed, we will have the Stoke Gabriel first team manager and the Stoke Gabriel goalkeeper. So all being well, they'll be on next week. Just have to tie the last few loose ends up on that. But you get to pick your ultimate 5-a-side team, Kian. Now, I do give you a bit of warning. I don't expect you just to pick this on the spot. So you did get this last night. So you've been going through your team. So the only rules are you have to have 1 goalkeeper, 1 defender, 2 midfielders, and 1 striker. And you have to have watched them play live and in the flesh. So you can't pick players that you haven't seen. It doesn't count watching them on telly. You have to have been to a ground and watch them play. So we'll start with your goalkeeper, Key. So did you have more than 1 choice?
There was 2, but I picked 1 in the end.
Yeah. Who did you go
and
for?
it's probably going to surprise people.
Oh.
Who
have we got?
Is it Kieran Westwood from Sheffield Wednesday?
Kieran Westwood. Now, you've seen quite a lot of goalkeepers in your time, and I know for a fact that you've seen Thibaut Courtois play live. And you've still gone for Kieran Westwood. So why Kieran Westwood? Here we go. The classic of doing Zoom chats. You go out of coverage. So try again. Why Kieran Westwood?
Because whenever he plays against Leeds, he turns into like the greatest goalkeeper of all time.
Okay, fair enough. I'm willing to bet that you're the only person that comes on this show who has Kieran Westwood as their goalkeeper.
I'm willing to bet that too.
Who's your 1 defender?
I went for Ben White.
Ben White. So I'm just going to put this out there for people because I think there's a little bit of Leeds United bias here in picking Ben White. You've seen play that I know of. Sergio Ramos. Correct?
Yeah, correct.
Who else have you seen play that could have got in ahead of him?
There's quite a few.
Yeah.
There's definitely quite a few.
England centre backs.
I'm not sure who played that day. I want to say Terry played.
Yeah. So, but you've still gone for. So why Ben White then? What's so special about Ben White?
Because he's just, we didn't think he was going to be very good, really, when we got him on loan. And then obviously we saw him that game against Forest in the second game of the season. He was class.
So far, you have got the Sheffield Wednesday goalkeeper and a Brighton centre back as your ultimate five-a-side team. I'm willing to bet no one else has this at all. So, right, the first one of your two midfielders then.
It gets a little bit more not surprising now.
Okay, go on then.
And although it is surprising because I hate the guy, but Frank Lampard.
There are Leeds fans switching off all over the country. So why? Let's be kind. Let's not call him by his nickname. So why Frankie?
Just because I hate him as a manager. I don't think he's a very good manager, but as a player, he was probably one of the best centre mids that ever played. Really.
Big call. Better than Gerrard.
Oh, you can't put me on the spot like
Of course I can. It's my show. I can do what I like.
that. I'm gonna go for I think he is.
Yeah. Okay. So who have you got alongside Lampard in midfield then?
I went for the 2018 Ballon d'Or winner, Luka Modric.
Oh, good choice. Yeah, because you saw Modric playing for Real Madrid. So Modric and Lampard. So what's Modric got that gets him into your team?
Well, I mean, I've watched a lot of Leeds, and there's no one who gets in over him.
Yeah.
And he's one of the best passers of the football out there, to be fair.
Class act, quality player, and he could qualify for little shouty man.
What's he done?
Well, he's little.
That is true.
That's the whole point.
He's very
little shouty man. He's little. Right. So the important position then, striker. Who have you got up front in your striker? Now I know you have got some serious quality strikers to choose from, and we're not counting Edgar Carney, Matt Smith, or any of those. But who have you gone for as your lead man?
So it was between two, but I managed to pick one again. And in the end, I went for Wayne Rooney.
Oh, a Manchester United player. Let's give them their proper official name of old. So who was the one that didn't get in, just out of interest?
There was Wood.
Yeah.
And there was Beckford.
Yeah, okay. So both of those then could have sneaked in. I think, to be fair, I think you have to pick Rooney ahead of those two. He gets a lot of stick, and as a Scotsman from the outside looking in, he's England's record goal scorer, and he never really got the credit for England that he deserved. I think he was immense for England, to be fair to him. He quite so good trying to chug around the Derby midfield at the back end of last season. he was a top striker for Man United. There's no disputing it. So
yeah.
Brilliant. So, well, that brings an end to our zooming in feature. As I said, hopefully next week we will have the Stoke Gabriel first team manager and first team goalkeeper. So it just leaves me to say big thank you to Kian. So thank you, Kian.
All right. Thank you for having me on.
Keep watching, and we'll see you all soon. Well, there you go. That was zooming in. What did you all think? So just to clarify, the ultimate five-a-side team that you name, you have to have seen them live, you have to have seen them play to name them in your side. It has to be a goalie, it has to be one defender, two midfielders, one attacker. So just to rewind on Kian's team, if you didn't catch it all, Kieran Westwood in goal, Ben White in defence, Lampard and Modric in midfield, and Wayne Rooney up front. Now, I'm willing to put money on no one else has Kieran Westwood in their ultimate five-a-side team. And I'd also like to apologise to all Rochdale fans for Kian deciding to upset the entire town of Rochdale. This is nothing to do with this podcast. That's the guests. All being well, and with fingers crossed, we're just tying down the last few details. Next week on Zooming In, we will have Josh Organ, the Stoke Gabriel goalkeeper, and Mark Richardson, the Stoke Gabriel first team manager, on Zoom. literally, I have pages like that of questions that I've got for those boys, and we should have a bit of fun on that. I think it'll be good, and I know they're looking forward to it as well. To be honest, judging by the WhatsApp responses we've had this week, and I've also literally this week, in the last couple of days, it looks like I've tied down a top Leeds band to come on here as well. No, not the Kaiser Chiefs. It's not them. They're not answering the questions, but it looks like I've got another top Leeds band. At least one of the guys to come on here and have a chat about football and music. So that's something to look forward to, and I'll keep working on trying to get some more guests on for you. We might not have Zooming on every week, but we'll try and do it most weeks if we can. But here he is. Right, Ted, how are we doing? Freezing. Well, why don't you put your Stoke Gabriel shirt back on? I told you I'm not putting it back on until they win. And Boris Scruffy Hair has got us in lockdown, so I have to ride around like this for the next couple of weeks. Well, Ted, I'm not being funny. You've got no one to blame but yourself. So, sorry? You got a bone to pick with me? Why have you got a bone to pick with me? What have I done? You compared me on Zoom to Pudsey. Ted, I'm not being funny. Pudsey's raised millions of pounds for charity for children in need all around the world. You know, you can't slag off Pudsey. You know, he's just a bear with an eye patch. Ted, he's not just a bear with an eye patch. Millions and millions of pounds he's raised for children in need. Take that back. Okay, I will take it back, but not being funny, has he ever had Mila Kunis swooning over him? Honest to God. Right, Ted, get on with it. This is your moment. Where's your little knob gone? Here it is. It's Ted's Little Knob of the Week award, as we know. So, Ted, who were the nominations? What? That's not funny. Someone nominated me. Yeah, someone on Twitter nominated me on the grounds that Kian wouldn't be on every week. It ain't happening. Not a chance. He can get his own podcast if he wants one. He ain't coming on here every week. Maybe we'll have a little slot for him near Christmas. He can come on and we'll do something at Christmas together. So come on, who else did you have, Ted? You only had one nomination and it came from more than one person. Crikey. Is it? So they've won it then, yeah? Okay. Are you going to tell the people what they want to know? They want to know who's won it. I told you before, I don't speak because you won't pay my contract. Okay, tell me who's won it then and I'll tell them. Jesus, this is how I've worked this morning, Ted. Oh, another high profile one. There's no two ways about it. So this week's Little Knob of the Week award goes to Sergio Ramos. Now, you are aware he's won World Cups and Champions Leagues, yeah? He's still a little knob. Okay, so Sergio Ramos has won it for his, after Ademola Lookman won it for his crap penalty last week, Sergio Ramos has taken the title by not missing one crap penalty, missing two crap penalties against Switzerland for Spain. Those of you who watched the extra time episode last week will have seen me mentioning it. He took two penalties for Spain against Switzerland and both were absolute shockers. None of them featured the Panenka dink. He tried to place them both, but he tried to roll them both in the corner and neither of them paid off. So I have to say, Ted, I'm with you, mate. Sergio Ramos, alongside your World Cup trophy, your Champions League trophy, that can now take pride of place. The Little Knob of the Week award. Right, Ted, you up to anything this week? Just going to go and FaceTime Myla. Okay, well, you enjoy that, mate. Right, so there's Ted. So we move on now to Guests v Knowledge. I'm not being funny. This was a low point of last weekend, it's fair to say. So, as you know, last week going into Guests v Knowledge, I was leading 4-3. We were predicting the Colchester v Leyton Orient game. Tracy, aka Guess, went for a 2-1 Colchester win, and I went for a 2-0 Orient win on the grounds that Orient used to always screw up my accumulators. I couldn't back them to lose. It's history now, but Colchester won 2-1, which is exactly the scoreline that Guess predicted. So she picked up 3 points for last week, meaning that she now leads 6-4 going into this week. So ultimately, pretty depressing. Look at this, 2 sheets of notes. We move on next week. This week, is another challenge. So this week, as it is now, Facebook Messenger, keep checking your Facebook messages because you may get one from me asking you to pick out this week's game. And this week, Gavin Brown was chosen, and he has picked the incredibly simple task of predicting Tottenham v Manchester City. So cheers, Gav, owe you one. So Tottenham Man City. So I'm not being funny. I told Tracy about it sort of the middle of the week, and she said, "Oh yeah, that's quite a difficult one," but she didn't come back with a score. I then mentioned it again last night, but not being funny. She's been head deep watching The Crown on Netflix. I think she's been binge watching episodes of that. So to be honest, she went pure guess and she just came straight out with 2-2, and that was it. That was all we got. So she's gone for 2-2. I can't lie. 2-2 was in my thoughts, and I was going to pick 2-2, but I had chosen a different scoreline before that, because that would have been slightly embarrassing if I'd gone to all the effort of trying to work out the score and she'd literally just said 2-2 so she could carry on watching The Crown. I think City are going to sneak this. I think Tottenham, as well as they've done, I do think that they've not really faced any stern competition yet this season. And I think this is the time that they may just come a little bit unstuck. I could be wrong, could be completely wrong, but I just think City are going to be buoyed by Pep signing his new contract. I think they're going to be right up for it. There were signs against Liverpool that they were just getting back in the groove, and I think City are going to sneak this 2-1. So Guess has gone for 2-2, and Knowledge has gone for 2-1 City. By 7:30 tonight, we'll know the answer. I'm trailing 6-4. If this finishes 2-2, I could be 9-4 down at the end of tonight, and it might be time to pull the plug on Guess v Knowledge if that happens. We also this weekend have the return of the lineal European trophies. They've had a bit of a break with the internationals, so it's a double header as well today. So I think actually both games are on TV, so you could probably watch both lineal European trophies if you wanted. So first up this afternoon, Bayern Munich are defending the lineal European Cup. It'll be their 6th defence of the title. They are up against Florian Kohfeldt's Werder Bremen. Bremen are without winning. Excuse me, sorry. That's called slurping your coffee down before you do the show. Bremen are without winning 5 matches, so this would be a great time to find one from somewhere and put a bit of European silverware on their shelf. But I've got to be honest, it looks like Munich are going to take this one on to next week as well. I think there's European games in midweek, so they'll be defending it again pretty quickly if they do win. Later in the evening, it's the lineal UEFA Cup, and it's a proper heavyweight clash over in Spain. So as we know, Atletico Madrid took the trophy in the last round of fixtures. Tonight they entertain Barcelona in what should be an absolute cracker at any time. That's a big game. But when you've got the lineal UEFA Cup up for grabs, it's even bigger. So I'm sure that's further right at the front of the minds of the likes of Messi and company, wanting to get their hands on that lineal UEFA Cup that they've not yet held. So we'll see how they pan out later. And a couple of decent games to look out for as well there. So people, that's it for another week. Hope you've enjoyed the new features. Hope you've liked the fact that we're now having guests on the show. Hope you don't mind the fact that you're not getting 2 episodes a week. You're just getting one slightly longer one. Hope you don't mind the fact that I've been rambling on again for another week and trying to give you some entertainment. As always, if you can, go down to the bottom of your YouTube bit with your mouse, click on the one that's got a little thumbs up like that. There's another one further along, might be down here somewhere. It says subscribe. Click that with your mouse. If you're not watching on a laptop and you're watching it on an iPad or your phone, then just put your finger and press it. Yeah, it's not difficult. I can't do everything for you. I can take you to the water. I can't make you drink it. Yeah, so if you could do that, guys, it'd be much appreciated. So let's see if we get over 80 subscribers this week. 77. I'm so chuffed with 77. Honestly, it's really good. And I look around at some guys who have got 375,000 and just think, yeah, that ain't ever happening. Not in my lifetime. So we'll stick. We're just trying to inch the numbers up. If we can get to 100 by Christmas subscribers on YouTube, then I think what we're going to do, and here's a little thing, if we get to 100 by Christmas, we'll have a little Christmas giveaway. I'll buy a little prize, and if we get to 100 by Christmas, then we'll have a little prize giveaway that we'll put a load of names in a hat on one of the forums, and I'll draw somebody out for a prize. So there's your challenge. You get to 100 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe now, and you can be in the hat come Christmas. But that's all for now. So have a great week, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and see you all soon.